I am so blessed, honored to be here in this place, the Gammon house, which was served as the couple here, the Gammon couple, were Moses's. Both of them. The work of Moses. To do what? Now people go. Some of us here in this room, many of us in this room, I got cousins on three sides of the family who are here. My mom's side, my dad's side, my in-law's side, out of Kentucky. So some of our people out of Kentucky, the South, came through here, came through Ohio. And there were a bunch of people, not just the Gammons, who made their way north to freedom. So this hallowed ground here is, yes, it's the Gammon house, but it's sacred ground where people would risk their lives for others, to be free. I spoke yesterday over in Newark, Ohio. Then Sister Bailey and I spoke, we were at Ohio State for 2 days. There was about 4 or 5 talks a day for both days. And we ended up talking to whom, Sister Bailey?
The Vice Provost at the Ohio State University.
Yes. And we were carrying the same message about there are pharaohs today. There are pharaohs today. Oftentimes the pharaohs within us. What we do or don't do. How are we being Moses today? It's a question we should all leave here. And I spoke at called the OFA, stands for the Ohio Ecological Food and Farming Association Conference. I was a keynote speaker, workshop we did. Asking the same questions. And the question is, don't just think Underground Railroad is a historical experience. And it is a historical experience. It's also a current experience. So my submission of our presentation today is, how do we embrace our being the Moses? And because we were this past week, this morning I left there, in Newark, Ohio, you spell Newark, Newark. But in my talk, now don't trust me, and Sister Bailey here will make sure I'm speaking accurately. I use 2 words. I use the word new and ark separately. Asking people in the room who was named Noah, other than me. My middle name is Noah, I was saying. Jim Noah Embry. My point was, Noah and his wife and kids herding up all the species of animals and plants and whatever in the floods, just a historical experience. It's happening right now. So my question was to them, who wants to be a Noah? Who wants to help preserve, protect God's creation that we have been impacted? Then I also use the term new ARC, new ark. I was then bringing in, if you know a guy named M.L. King, we had a birthday for him back in January. One of his quotes is, he says, the moral what? I know his quote, the moral arc of of the universe does what? Bends towards justice. So it's connecting this audience with Dr. King's commitment, his encouragement, which is, in your work, be about the work of justice. So, part of our talk today is about those kinds of things. And I am so honored to be here again. My cousins here on my mom's side have been after me for years to come here to the Gammon house. And my cousins here are on the board, and they've been shepherding along with other people on the board as well for years, right? For some years. Saying, Cousin Jimmy, you go all over the world speaking and talking, but you ain't been in the Gammon house yet. Right? For years, been inviting me up here. So I sent them word back in December, January. They're out here, my cousins who invited me up here. I said, I'm going to be over at, Ohio State, whatever. I said, well, bring your butt by here. Okay. So I'm here. Thank you all. Yeah. Now I reached out to my in-law side, the Martin family, and they up in here too. Thank y'all for being here. And all my aunts and cousins, and I won't call, because so many of y'all, we're going to some pictures afterwards. But again, I'm just saying that we're honored to be here. My sister here, Jennifer, you want to hear from her just in a minute. I'm going to be quiet and let her say a few things. She's doing some wonderful work trying to fill the sisters around this whole Crescent Underground Railroad. But she hadn't been here. Okay, she hadn't been here. She's been different places. She hadn't been here, right?
It's true.
Cool. So again, we're honored to be here at the Gammon House, all the legacy. And I wanted to, sometimes I'll begin with we call it Tibetan singing bowl. It vibrates, and it's used to call the ancestors. When I'm using it vibrates. And the point is that while we're here, I was going to ask, is everybody here? Is everybody here? What I'm saying, that the reason why we're here, because of those who came before us. Okay? Who came before us. That's why we're here today. So I'm asking that you just think in your own mind, in your own way. Think about those folks who come before you, ancestors, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and invite them here today to sit with us as part of this Sunday church service. Okay? So think about those folk, invite them here. Because many of those folk, wherever we came from, were enslaved, wanting to be free, trying to be free, trying to raise family, trying to begin churches. So we honor them by inviting their presence here today at the Gammon House. Folks trying to be free. This little thing I carry around with me wherever I go, the machete broke off from traveling using it so much, just to kind of symbolize folks wanting to be free. Inviting those ancestors is what I do. Okay? So we invoke those spirits. Thank y'all for being here. We love y'all very much. Okay, we love y'all very much. It's a message I want to begin with and end with. Thank you for being here. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to have the sister Bailey here kind of talk about Underground Railroad. There's a few slides over here. I'll punch them for you.
Okay.
Let's kind of go up there and talk about the Gammon folk a little bit.
Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer Bailey, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. It's my pleasure. I grew up about 30 minutes from here, out east of Troy, and I welcome all of you that I know, my friends, my family, my mom, for being here today. In truth, I didn't know that much growing up about the Underground Railroad in Ohio. How many people have been to other Underground Railroad stops in this local county area? okay? A few of us, that's great. And this wasn't part of the education that I received when I was going to school. And so what we started doing as a group of 8 of us, Black women, we came together. I live in the Arlington, Virginia area, and we came together to start a nonprofit group called Daughters of the Underground. We started walking the Underground Railroad, inspired by Harriet Tubman, and from her birthplace, walking to where she got free. And so the power that I see is really being in the footsteps. And today, we're not just in the footsteps of the Underground Railroad, we're actually in the home and in a place of trust and
Amen.
safety.
Yes.
That when people got here, after wherever they had come from, that they had risked their lives, that they had been worn, that they had had the bruises and the fear and all of that, but then that they were then getting to this place that we feel like so cozy and so warm and embraced today. So to me, knowing that they were African Americans, knowing that they were here to meet other African Americans, that is just a really powerful experience. So I'm grateful to be here, and I'm gonna. Yep, this is part of our experience at Ohio State University this week. We got to go to the George Washington Carver Science Park and know that George Washington Carver, born in the time of slavery and enslavement, connected so deeply to the roots, right? To the trees, to the air, to all of the elements, to be encouraged to be curious, and that young boy that he was growing up in Diamond Grove in Diamond, Missouri, that he was able to climb to the highest heights to meet the presidents, to make world change happen, and that today we're still in the impact of that is just incredible. So like the amount of energy in this space, the amount of freedom, that people had come, and that this is happening in Ohio. And it happened all over because we've always been searching for freedom. We've always been resisting. But the fact that now we're sending George Washington Carver's experiments in research to outer space, to the International Space Station, is just amazing. So that was what that picture was. And then these are some of the routes of the Underground Railroad that I think that are so important. They didn't just go north. They went south as well. So they went east, they went west. People went everywhere that they could in order to search for freedom. And that's another thing that, we live so close to the Ohio River, so we know that people were generally, before 1850, they were coming to Ohio and then moving north, and then after 1850, we're moving toward Canada. So,
Talk some more about the Ohio Underground Railroad.
So, other parts of the Ohio Underground Railroad that I have personally experienced and done the research for are regarding Wilberforce, to the National African American Museum at Wilberforce. Have you all been there? Many of us have been there. And if you haven't been there, that was supposed to be the first National African American Museum, started by President Carter in the 1970s, 80s, and that was amazing. That history, because of everything that culminated, all the people coming up north from Georgia, from down south, and this was such a bubbling point of people and connections. And that's what I'm also present to when we talk about points in history. All of this existed within systems and people helping one another. And just like today, we still need that help. We still need to be weaving together these points. So from Wilberforce, we did a walk that was 10 miles from Wilberforce to Yellow Springs, and during Juneteenth. And to remember that these are part of these connection points, and if you explore that history, you can find some of those stories. Thank you.
Wonderful. Can you say something? No, give it up now. Come on. So, if you are familiar with some of the old school music, call her like a bad mamma jamma. Okay. Now, the topic for today was 1850 kitchen gardens. Then and now. Then and now. That's the theme. And we're going to walk through that, both historically and what's going on now. Sister Lady mentioned that we were over at OSU the other day as part of the, to do a tour, what's called the George Washington Carver Science Lab. That's a replica of what's up in Star Lab. And they're up there using some of Carver's ideas of growing the sweet potato, as he encouraged numerous times. But not to eat the tuber, because you eat the tuber, you will run out before you get to the moon going to Mars. Or to eat what? The leaves. That is a kitchen garden. In the kitchen of the astronauts. This image here sort of is a picture of folks, our folks, in enslaved condition, tending a garden, pointing out that there were gardens in the north, like around this house, around 1850, and there were gardens in the south that looked somewhat different. This is an image from the south, kitchen garden. Women, children, especially the women. Okay? Men tended to farm. I'm not saying they didn't farm, but tended to farm. And women tended the gardens on most of our places. And I got some aunts back here, okay? Part of the Martin family over in here. I have an image here of that property. And they're shaking their heads and saying, yeah, that's right. Okay. But we was in the field too. And their mother, Mama B, tended the garden. So this is an image, showing that it was, largely women, children in the gardens. This is an image that kind of almost is an image of what might have occurred here in the north around the Gammon house. Of folks, putting up sticks to hold beans and things like that. And other kinds, chickens and whatever around their cabin that they were probably living in this area here. I skipped a slide. My fingers are being, they kind of go through things. Sorry about that. But this is an image that's really important. These are men who were part of the U.S. colored troops, who fought in the Civil War, okay? And there were about 200,000 black men and women. They were part of U.S. colored troops. And on my mom's side of the family, we had 3 people who fought in the Civil War, part of U.S. colored troops, that helped kick Lee's butt at Appomattox. Then they were shipped to Galveston in May, not June when Granger got there, to usher in Juneteenth. So you also go back home in June and expand the notion about Juneteenth and say, our folks reunified the country, and they were there a month before Granger got there. But now, if you read their muster rolls of the Army, and you put down what their occupation was, someone give me a guess of what their occupation was. Farmers. Farmers. Right? That's what they were, farmers. And gardeners. The point is that these folks fought in the Civil War, gained the victory, reunified the country, and they were farmers. And here's how they looked in cotton fields before donning those uniforms. In some parts, because people even came from the South, like in Kentucky, to muster in, to fight. And then many of them, after the Civil War ended, many of our folk, like Carver, went where? Went to Kansas, okay? As part of that idea of we got this free land that was stolen from the indigenous people. Come out here, pay $5 and get you some land, as Carver did. Here's how those folks looked out in Kansas. They were called sod busters, dirt farmers. They made their houses from sod. But this is an actual image. My point is, around their house was a what? A kitchen garden. Okay? A kitchen garden around their house. I'm trying to give you a kind of a historical understanding of what is that kitchen garden. Also, what happened during those time periods after the Civil War, out west, in the South, many of those farmers in Kentucky even became part of what's called the Black Farmer Cooperatives throughout the South. Some 2 million. Okay. Right here? Cool, man. So the idea is that, this is okay, I see. Sorry about that. That these farmers, these kitchen gardeners, were also organizing cooperatives for farmers. They were organizing teacher associations. They were organizing business leagues. They were organizing all kinds of church associations. Many of us now, our respective areas, are part of different black church associations that began back when the Civil War ended. And what happened? Okay, now, I'm bringing it home a little bit about a kitchen garden, okay? I'm doing a little commercial here. My in-laws side of the family, a couple of years ago, we commissioned a local writer to write the history of the Martin family. And this book here was published a couple of years ago. I don't know if anybody brought copies with them. Next time, I should bring a copy now. Anyway, but the idea is that if you read that book, you will read about the family history, and you will read about family members, especially Mom B, not leaving the men folk out. Sometimes we leave women out. This book here, with all due respect, we have the tree, and it's all men. Like, women weren't even involved. Now, when I last checked, I could be wrong now. I'm getting old, I'm getting, can't remember stuff. But when I last checked, all of us came through women. Okay? I could be wrong, man. Y'all help me. My last check, we all came through women. Okay? My point is, just don't leave the sisters out. Okay? In the Civil War, I said 200,000 black men and women fought the Civil War, like Harriet Tubman. She was a spy going back and forth. But there were some women who disguised themselves as men to help fight. So, this is an image here of the farm, kind of an aerial view. And right in here, it's a real, you can't see it very well, it's what's called the big house. It's got about, 40 rooms, just teasing. It's got a bunch of rooms, a big kitchen. And around there, like you all in your family, you sit around, you tell stories. You talk, over there, was the smokehouse. Over there was the garden. Over there was the hogs. Over there was the chickens, whatever. Outhouse was there too. It's still there, okay? Even now we got an outhouse. I'm just teasing. But anyway. So as we continue this work around gardens, farming, seeds, you all are all welcome. You are all welcome in April to come to Madison County, where our folk on my mom's side and dad are from. We are hosting there and what's called a Cullen Seed Common Spring Convene, 4 days, and it begins with a 3/4 century birthday celebration for my crazy ass, okay? So, y'all welcome to come down, be a part of that. It's been around about 10 years. I call it Birthday and Butterflies. We do a whole plant trees, and, we eat and have a big meal, and we do drumming. I've got friends coming in, which are all of them. We've got friends coming in from far away as Belize, Trinidad, Puerto Rico, around the country. And I've heard tell that most all of our kids are going to be there as well. So it's April 20th on the farm. We call it the Ashes Blue Farm. And over here are some of my cousins, who we call the Blue Stone Side. And we share common, say, ancestors. Their Aunt Bertha was my great uncle's sister. Their Aunt Bertha was a sister to my great uncle Ashras, who's from I live on now. Okay, that's how the connection goes. Y'all know that. I'm also saying that as we discuss the idea of kitchen gardens, let's don't forget that what we are growing here in our gardens largely are food items that who took care of, who gifted us? Indigenous people. Okay? If we're eating some hot water cornbread or any kind of cornbread and beans and corn and that kind of stuff, whatever, that was a gift from indigenous people. So as we're talking about the kitchen garden, let's lift up that longer legacy of indigenous wisdom. This is a map of how we lived in North America prior to European colonization. There were people all over North America, some 500 nations were there. And we do all we can when we're talking, Jennifer and I, to lift up indigenous people as part of the kitchen garden. Because they've been here, they say, 10, 20, 30,000 years. And they had kitchen gardens all around where they lived. Okay? Kitchen gardens. Indigenous people. This is a picture of Carver, as you know, George Washington Carver, who is, I just love and admire his work so much. And we have with him a family connection. So we're saying that here's a brother who took that legacy of the 1850s kitchen gardens and made it part of his understanding, his experience, and how he inspired what we now call the victory gardens of World War I and World War II. George Washington Carver. So we shouldn't be questioning his importance around this idea of gardens. Because he went, to Tuskegee. So for me, it's like a blessing. In February, right? Black History Month, lift up Carver. And he is probably, according to people who keep data, other than Dr. King, his name comes up the second most popular name in February. I've talked about him this month about 10 times, and I'm going back on February 29, 28 to do another talk, okay? Love him dearly. Picture of him, with the faculty there at Tuskegee. We know that Booker T. Washington heard about this bad brother. Now, he's not an old tune. I mentioned earlier about Sister Jennifer. He is a bad papa jammer, okay? That's what he is. Booker T. heard about him out of Iowa State. Brought him to Tuskegee. And he was there his entire life, George Washington Carver. Now, I mentioned George Washington Carver. These are bulletins that he wrote in the 1890s, I think 1910, talks about gardening in rural schools. what you can't see is about nature gardens as victory gardens. My point is, George Washington Carver, because he knew all the presidents, inspired this whole idea of World War I and World War II victory gardens. But he was continuing this idea of victory gardens here. Here's the images of the victory gardens. Some of you all were around, okay, at that time I'm sure. Some of the aunts here, some of you all here were around the victory gardens. And if you were around, you saw these posters of all white people. It's okay. But my point is, we had a role, and of course we had gardens too, throughout our communities as well. Those are some of the images, the victory gardens. My clicker here is a little bit, this is called the Jessup wagon. Carver went around the South for many years. The Jessup wagon, it was a wagon that a guy named Morris Jessup funded. And this right here, and he went around with seeds and plants and books and bulletins to help people do what? Grow kitchen gardens, okay? That's what he did. This is kind of a colorful idea of what they kind of look like, the Jessup wagon. They got motorized. Carver became good friends with Henry Ford. Henry Ford gave him a gift of a motorized, okay, Jessup wagon. Picture of Carver. I forgot to skip one. Okay. So this is a picture on the left of George Washington Carver. On the right is a joker named D.B. Ballou. For Don Carlos Buell Ballou. Again, he was for me, my great-grandfather. I was born enslaved. Dad fought in the Civil War, died in the Civil War. He came out. And his mom and all his siblings, survived and thrived. He wound up going to what's called Berea College in 1879. And while he was there, he met people like Carter G. Woodson, who also went to Berea College. Okay? And we're honoring this month, what?
Black History
Black History Month. Formed by who?
Carter G. Woodson.
Okay. So, but our great-grandfather became friends also with George Washington Carver. And he was part of this black farmer cooperative, this black teacher association in Richmond, Kentucky, in Madison County. That was called this Colored Chautauqua. And so they invited 3 or 4 times to where I live now in that same neighborhood, the likes of W.B. Du Bois, Ivy Wells, Mary Church Terrell, and George Washington Carver. And I'm imagining on the Martin side, because that Chautauqua drew, it said, 1,500 black folk to Richmond, Kentucky. They came from far away as Lexington, Louisville, Owensboro, Cincinnati, maybe Springfield, maybe Dayton. Okay? I'm just thinking that some of the Martin folk might have been down yonder there in Madison County. But part of their work was to help people better understand how to farm and how to do kitchen gardens. My clicker's real slow for some reason. So it's the idea of the colored Chautauqua. I bypassed that. I won't go back to it. But I happened about 8 years ago to discover in the archives of the different newspapers about this event called Chautauqua. They had it also down in Owensboro, by the way. Okay, and I'm reading some of those articles in the newspaper there in Richmond, and they're a month before they're talking about, well, the people who organized them said, look here, before y'all come here, be prepared. Read some books like Booker T. Washington's books Up from Slavery. Read some books by Du Bois. Read Ida B. Wells' book about lynching. and read all kinds of black newspapers. Read some Dunbar, read some Langston Hughes, with their encouragement before coming to this Chautauqua. This is a map of Kentucky. Madison County is the area, you can't see it very well. Again, you all are always welcome to come down our way. And again, April's a great time for the whole 4 days. We call it the Come and See Commons Spring Convening. 1 day on the farm, and 3 days at Berea College with people who are going to be speaking and providing sessions around seed saving, and seed farming, seed adaptation, things like that. This is a map of Berea, Kentucky. That's the house I live in. It's about 90 years old. I came back home some years ago to do elder care. Okay, not to sit at the farm, do elder care. Living in the house next door with my aunt and uncle, both 90, like second parents to me. Our cousins we met and said, well, hey, someone ought to go return to the farm and help look after our aunt and uncle, both 90. The house I live in now, was 90 years old. Nobody was living in it. Roof was leaking, the side was falling off, floor was falling in. I said, well, Cousin Jimmy, you can do all that work. I said, yeah, I'm a city boy though. I don't know about the country. Anyway, moved back, it's been wonderful. The house is always calling, saying, fix me over here, fix me over there, that kind of thing. I had spent about 5 years, my aunt and uncle, and you just can't trade. Y'all know how it is. You really can't trade looking after your elders. I was really blessed. Now, real quick, I'm going to move through some slides here. So in 1919, my folk, there in Richmond, organized to bring Du Bois, Carver, Ida B. Wells to Richmond in 1919. Right? This is Black History Month. Now, that year is known as Red Summer. Now, what Red Summer means? It means the blood of black folks ran like rivers. Red Summer. The term coined, I think, by Langston Hughes. All across the nation, 40, 50 communities of black folk were shot down, gunned down, burned their houses down, ran out with no shoes even to wear, all across the nation. 1919. The question becomes, in 1919, in Richmond, Kentucky, we had a culture Chautauqua that drew 1,500 black folks. And you say, why didn't those folk get shot down? Why didn't their homes get burned down? What happened there that prevented that? I'm thinking the presence of George Washington Carver, who was a peaceful man, humble, quiet, and he had an aura of disarming people. It's important to understand how these terms like kitchen garden connect with all other kinds of things. Because those folk who got rent out of their homes and burnt down had what? Kitchen gardens. Red Summer, it's a book about it here. It's worth reading about. Here's some of the images of the homes, the cities, towns that were impacted, again, in 1919. Some time you have, brother. What time you have? Do I have? Oh, okay, well, I'm good then. I'm on a roll. Shoot. Okay, so here's Carver. Again, my point is, and we all love him, but he's been whitewashed and blackwashed. Almost written out of the history. Okay? I do about 30 or 40 talks a year, all over the country. Even I've gone Brazil, India, China, Italy. But around the United States, I've given talk that was called HBCUs, right? There's only black colleges and universities. And most of them, even the land-grant colleges, have nothing about Carver, other than Tuskegee, maybe. I mean, Tuskegee, of course. I go also to the HWCUs, the socially white colleges and universities, like Ohio State, Kentucky, and wherever else you want to talk about. And you go there and read about Carver, almost nothing. So, my point is that what they're doing at Ohio State University is really profound. It's really profound because what they're saying, even if you folk on the ground don't honor him, even if your universities don't honor him, even if us who assembled here don't honor him, we will. We will, because we're sending his legacy, we're utilizing his legacy to try to get ourselves to Mars. So I hope that you all will read more about him and get his name more, his magnanimous work, more in your own conversation. Find ways, maybe like I did. I discovered through reading a newspaper that he was in Richmond 3 or 4 times. And that our family were part of that. Anyway, so I'm just offering that as a, it shouldn't be a question anymore about his magnanimous life. Again, this is what's called the Star Lab. And they're trying to do things on the ground at Ohio State. They're doing things up in Star Lab to do what? To figure out how to go long distance. Like to Mars. That's what they're... To Mars. Is what, beyond the moon. So again, here's some of the bulletins. He wrote 3 bulletins about sweet potatoes. Now, how many of us have any of his bulletins? Anybody here have any of his bulletins? I happened to run across several years ago one of his actual bulletins that he was giving back in the early 1900s. It's kind of worn, frayed, mellowed out. When I touch it, I'm saying, Carver touched this. He did all the writings, all the illustrations, and gave them away for free. Okay? Gave them away for free. I would submit that probably all of us in here who were probably from the South, that were kind of like an agrarian community, probably had some of his bulletins. Actual copy. So I'm gonna let my sister Jennifer here just describe a little bit about our visit to OSU and the Star Lab.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike.
Okay.
So the Ohio State Star Lab that we got to experience, we had a tour 3 days ago in the morning. And the Star Lab is set to be launched into orbit in 2028. And I believe they only have a short period of time with it because the International Space Station is scheduled to come down, I believe, in 2030. So there's like a real pressing, deadline that they're working on. And what we got to see was 2 things. I believe you probably found that Embry is getting. They've been working a lot with the fungi, which is what I've been learning. What color? And I'm going to ask the question. Yep. All right. Thank you. What question is our blood? Or sorry, what color is our blood? It's red. So what makes our blood red? The iron. Yes. So in that way, we are connected, right, to the earth. And those minerals are running, that iron is running in our blood. And we don't get enough we feel it in our health. So that fungi, that also has been so crucial and the development of all of evolution. And now some of the smallest parts of the evolution are making a huge difference in outer space. What they've done is that they have compressed the fungi into non-flammable composite that they can use as a building material, which is better than the aluminum, right? So that's a pretty interesting thing. It's very lightweight, it's very compact, and we actually have some, I believe, here that we can share with you today. That's exciting. And then also what they're doing based on George Washington Carver's work that I think is really extraordinary is creating research around other recyclable material that they use in blocks to create movement of the water that would hold the root systems of the plants. And so that's going to create, just like we have soil, that would create different, they have different types of composite, no, we don't, okay. We have different types of composites that will hold those different types of plants so they can create these.
Right.
Yeah, this is it. Okay, yeah, I knew we had it. So this is made of fungi. And it's really lightweight. And what they've done is, this is only a sample tile, but they've got it, and they've created all these like brick blocks of this fungi substance. And so I'm sure we can share it later. It's pretty cool that this part of Mother Earth and this part of the evolutionary cycle is taking us all the way there, you know? So I think that if we can use those kinds of strategies to get to outer space, then we can use these kinds of strategies in our lives. And you know, what is the possibility? So that's what I see. That they're using this. They think it's important. So what can we do? Next slide. If you press the arrow button for me on the computer, just a right arrow. Thank you. Okay, we've seen this picture already. And so we did get to have some fun with the folks at Ohio State as well. And fortunately enough, they've actually invited Baba Jim back to speak. They're having a bioastronautics conference, which will be the first one. And he's been invited back to speak, which is really exciting. Yeah, next slide. And this is me. There's the Star Lab floor plan. So they are creating there's a model kind of Star Lab floor plan at Ohio State that they're working on building, and that will be the model for them. They're also doing some research that we learned around welding in zero gravity, and so they've got different projects happening, and it was just extraordinary to be able to see this happening in real time. Next slide. Okay, next slide. This was our tour. This is Baba Jim. Acting as an alien. Yeah, next one. Great, so this is our team walking around the science park, taking a picture. We've got Cassidy here, she's a young student scientist, and other folks on our team. You can see these are all the funders of the project, and because there hasn't really been a lot of, this has been primarily funded corporate, and so now they're looking to create a common space where they can develop new technologies and share ideas. So that's why this will be the first year that they're doing the bioastronautics conference. Okay, I think we've seen this one. And this. Yeah, this is the Gammon House Square. So this is, I believe, the projection of the Gammon House and what they're creating here in the future. Next slide. And this, what are we looking at? Amazing. All right. Yeah, I think we're in Kentucky now. All right, I gotta hand those back to Papa Jim. Good man from Kentucky. Yeah, other things I can share with you about our trip. So we had an extraordinary last 2 days, and I think this is really important. After the work that we did at the George Washington Carver Science Park, we also visited the Waterman Park, Waterman Science Farm Complex, and the greenhouse where they're growing tomatoes, they're growing strawberries, and they're doing a lot of research to find out, mostly in the United States, we've been building out, obviously we've been taking up land, and a lot of other developed countries who don't have as much resource as we do in terms of land, they're building upward, and they're building indoor, and that also allows us to have what we want, as that, we like eating strawberries all year round, right? They don't grow all year round. So how do we create that? And so in these indoor greenhouses, which primarily, before times there have been these the myth and sometimes the truth that the fruit hasn't been as good, right? Like it's better in season. And they're working on how to make that better, what types of fruits do better, and how to get that sweet strawberry, and how to get those products that we want to have all year round. So that's what we also saw at Ohio State. They gave us a really great tour. Those buildings just opened last year in March. And we went to several lectures, and then we did have the opportunity to work with the interim vice provost of diversity and inclusion at Ohio State University. She sat with us for about 90 minutes. So that was pretty exciting. I think that there's a lot of opportunity in terms of the seeds and the seed work that Baba Jim is up to, as well as the work that George Washington Carver is into. That is promising for the future. Okay. All right, very good. And I understand that I'm going to keep on speaking as Baba Jim is on interview in the other room. So, which is good. It's important to have, some publicity to these sites, and it's important that we contribute to the museums, to the public places to remember our history. And welcome back.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we're talking about Kentucky, I believe.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all. Do y'all feel this fun guy here?
We didn't pass it around yet.
Okay, let's pass it around.
Yeah.
Because again, they're using one of Carver's legacies. Carver at Iowa State, his study was in mycology, which means the study of fungi, was his specialty. He had 4 named after him. He sent thousands up to the fungi herbarium up there near DC, whatever. Okay, so he understood the foundation of agriculture, kitchen gardens, are fungi. Okay? So they're using fungi that almost look like a brick, and they're using that as the inside walls of this Star Lab machine, the Star Lab living quarters. And there'll be 3 floors, and all the walls will be this fungi. It's non-toxic, it's strong, not flammable, and doesn't end the supply of it. Okay? And it can also be, once it's used, it can be brought back into the composted system.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. Okay? And if you all want to, like we were, to be wowed, to be really wowed, call OSU. I can give you their name and number. Okay? I will drop a dime on you in a minute. Or in June, I'm going to be back over there doing a talk. I think it's June 1st and 2nd. I'll let you know. Come with me. I said, no, they're not my people there. You'll come over with me. Okay? When we were up there, a few days ago, they had already allowed me to come up there because it's somewhat it's not all secretive, but it's not, like public, whatever. As well, okay, boy, okay, OG, Embry, you can go. I said, well, I got a dear sister of mine, okay, I said, well, Jennifer Bailey and I, we did a talk at Bugs back in last fall in Philadelphia. We're going to do a workshop here in Ofa, okay. He said, okay, you can bring her, nobody else. I said, okay, that's a true story, Jennifer. Okay. But again, I'm back here in June. I'm more than be happy to invite you all to come with me to visit this wild place. So this image here, I was trying to provide some inspiration for my dear friends here, my brother Henry and all my cousins who are part of this Gammon House board. We might have gone by a slide. I was looking at their website, and they have this fabulous vision, this whole complex. It's called Gammon Square.
Yeah,
Gammon
we went by it.
Square. And all of you all who live in Springfield or Dayton or wherever you live at ought to be a part of this effort to help bring this into fruition. Gammon House Square is a whole large complex. So, my family and I were in Memphis this past December, hanging out with our cousin, my son shaking his family, wife, kids, and many of us were there, daughter Ayo, her family, and, people were there in Memphis, and we went by this place called Tom Lee Park in Memphis, and an older dump site. Okay? So here's some images of how it looks now. This Tom Lee Park, there was on the river there, a dump site that, like here, they brought in architects, visionaries, and transformed this dump site into Tom Lee Park. What they did. I'm just saying that what you were doing here is is being done around the country. This is a picture here of Tom Lee, who's a brother lived in Memphis that during some of the floods of the river, he went out and couldn't swim. He went out, though, and saved hundreds of people who were on a boat. They got capsized over. I don't know how he was out saving souls. The same way in the South. Brother Fortune Carter was saving black soils and black souls. So anyway, this is a picture of Brother Tom Lee, who he was. His face and images was part of the whole place there. The idea again is the work of Black Lives Matter is also to lift up this legacy of our work as well to help build this country, help create a greater democracy. Don't just take down the statues of Confederate generals. Lift up statues of what we've done, but not just to Dr. King's. I love him dearly, okay? I born for King in 64, which is funeral in 68. Love him dearly. But sometimes we lift on a pedestal a few people and not common people. So, like your brother here. This is kind of an image of how it looks now. You go online, do a Google search. Tom Lee Park, it is fantastic, with all kinds of areas there, and what they have there, folks, are examples of kitchen. Okay? Examples of garden. What they have there. So I'm just suggesting that, you all might want to engage with them, go visit, invite them up here, okay? To have them speak about what's already in place and help y'all raise some money up in here, okay? Okay, invite them up in here, do a fundraising. Okay, here's our history, here's what we've done, and we're here to support the Gammon Square. Make a big fundraiser. I'll come back to that too. Okay, this is how it looks here again. All kinds of gardens and tree areas. Again, a former dump site there in Memphis. Come on, clicker. And on a personal note, this work around lifting up legacies, lifting up the sense of agriculture, food, and whatever, I've been doing about my whole life. And I can't tell you all that I've been doing, but I want to point out at least one that for me is pretty significant. Back in 2006, I put forward a concept for an art garden named for a guy named Isaac Murphy, who was a famous jockey of the 1890s, first to win 3 Kentucky Derbies, introduced driving off the pace, and things like that. So I wrote a concept paper, put together various people who wanted to support that back in 2006, and it got established. And now it's, if you come to Lexington, please go by and take a visit, because this old country boy from Madison County, Kentucky, put together a vision and a plan, something like this. Here was our design for that park back in, I don't know, about maybe 2008 or 10. Because some folks at first said, who is Isaac Murphy? They didn't know. Even though Lexington is the horse capital of the world. Isaac Murphy. Isaac, okay, Murphy. They didn't know. They didn't trust me either. I said, well, his house, where this is the actual house of he and his wife, Lucy. Okay? And back by our measures now, back then, he wasn't quite a millionaire, but he earned about $80,000 a year in the 1890s as a jockey. They had a big old 2-story house right here that overlooked a racetrack that was right nearby.
Wow.
And folks thought, Embry is making stuff up. That can't be. But anyway, we researched, we dug, we found the actual house footprint. Here was the design. And again, in the design, I called it a what? An art garden. But we would teach things like that, especially to kids. If you're familiar with racing in Lexington, there's a track called Keeneland Racetrack, and that track was originally near where Isaac's house was, back until about 1930 or so. Just moved to where it is now. But this was an article in the Keeneland magazine in 2021 where they dared print the truth about how the idea came into being, who was encouraging this knowledge of Isaac Murphy, and whatever else. Because there were attempts for some years, again, to whitewash me out of the history, and even some blackwashing out of the history. But Keeneland said, we want to interview your ancient butt before you make that transition and get some truth. They called it no longer forgotten. Double entendre there, applying to Isaac Murphy and to myself as one of the co-founders of the art garden. But you can go online, just do a Google search, Keeneland Magazine, Jim Embry, the art, you'll find the full article. But within the article, we get interviewed, and the brother here named Bruce Mundy was my co-founder. It's like the sister here, I call her my co-conspirator, okay? She's my co-conspirator. He said, now, bye-bye, Jim. Today my mom gonna be here. My daddy gonna be here. So you gotta behave now, okay? I'm trying to behave here, okay? But we're co-conspirators. Anyway, so get my clicker to move here. Appreciate it, but
Yeah, thank you.
okay, real quickly. Now, after many years of going around, the city and around the state, begging for money, asking for money, help us build this art garden for Isaac Murphy. Okay? Because he laid the foundation for racing in so many ways. If you look, it's called riding off the pace. Before him, people were riding the horse from the beginning to the end real fast. He discovered, if I hold the horse back a little bit, the last quarter mile, last 8 mile, I can kick some butt and win. And he won about half of his races. They couldn't figure out how did he win so much? Okay. And you quite know. But now, what do people do? Ride off the pace. And along with him, there's a guy named Simon, a little bit after Murphy, a guy named Simon, who introduced what's called riding in the crouch. It was racing. Okay? Because heretofore you were riding what's called the old English style, up like this, with all kind of wind resistance. Simon came along, like Murphy, smart brothers. Said, well, let me get down a little lower. Okay? And my arms around the horse, way down low. Now, what did they call him back during those days in the newspaper? What do you think they called him? They called him Monkey Simon. Okay? Don't trust me. Read about it. They called him Monkey Simon. Why? He was riding unorthodox. Okay? And riding an old monkey with your arms all wrapped around the horse and the neck. Now, let me ask you all, because I forget stuff. I know how to help you. How do folks ride now? In the crouch. So anyway, some of these short stories here about this art garden has lifted up all kinds of, like Simon. Okay. Now, these bottles here represent, we were begging, not quite stealing now. I thought, let's steal some money, okay? I said, no. Begging for money from corporations, U.S. Kentucky, state government, and so forth. Okay? But because we think of the Black Lives Matter movement, everybody now want to be black. So we say, if you got some money, come on and be black with us, okay? So anyway, about 3 years ago, Maker's Mark, okay, approached us and said, man, what y'all doing is fabulous. You want to be a part of this? Want to help us raise some money to help do more things in the art garden. I said, hey, let's talk. Matter of fact, bring the bottle of bourbon while you're in it, okay? So what they did, they, for the funding, what they did, they agreed to do that. They do every year what's called a signature bottle of bourbon to commemorate some wonderful sports achievement. It might be, a great coach or, whatever it might be. They said, look here, OG Embry, we're going to do better than that. I said, y'all should. Okay? Been begging y'all for years. Okay. I ain't going to say that. What they did, though, they issued not one bottle, but 3 bottles. Why 3 bottles? Because Murphy won 3 derbies. Okay? 3 derbies. It was done, that's just for 1 year, for 3 years. Okay? This might be the 3rd year here. They said, well, with these bottles, they cost more than regular bottles. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to take all those proceeds and give them to you all to put art in art garden. And we will get probably, by the end of this year, about $500,000. Okay? About half a million. Okay? And we've already used some of that money already. This is, again, the Kingdom magazine that was in 2021. More clicker. And we have there now 2 pieces of art. Okay, the last one was put in last fall. We put one in about 3 years ago. The one 3 years ago cost us $80,000. Okay, $80,000. The one last year designed by two friends of ours and one friend of mine, and then I can call LeVon Williams. His original bid was $80,000 some 10 years ago. We didn't have any money then. He said, hey, we look at your figures, come back with a new proposal he did. We paid him $120,000. Now, for those of you who are in the Springfield, Dayton, Ohio, Akron area, y'all might know Bean Davis.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody know Bean Davis here. He's also a bad Papa Jamma, okay, by the way. Anyway, we made 3 selections. We've already installed 2. The third one's beans. Now, I don't know what he's going to charge us. But we have the money is the point. We have the money. And so this image here is an image of a book written by a friend of mine. It's called The Secret Garden of George Washington Carver. And the point about that is that one of the best ways that we can remember a kitchen garden is how well we honor George Washington Carver and how well we all involve our kids, grandkids in gardening. Because, Carver grew up in Diamond, Missouri. He was sickly. The people who owned him in the family wound up being he and his brother's father and mother, white couple, who was wonderful to them in all kinds of ways. But they allowed him to spend most of his entire years to about 8 years old in the garden, in the forest, talking to trees, talking to the plants, talking to the moon and stars. Okay? And what it's saying is, if you want to develop a child to be as magnanimous, as creative, as humble, as peaceful, as Carver was, get him in the garden. Get him in the garden. But don't believe me, because I'm not like a Bible. Some of you are Bible scholars, I'm not. This old, jackleg, activist. But somewhere in today's Sunday now, when I was growing up, my folks said, Jimmy, you talk so much, you talk fast and whatever, and you make sense. Oh, you're going to be a preacher. That's what I was told. So I'm preaching today. But anyway, when I last checked, somewhere when Christ was troubled, and so I thought like, hey, I feel some vibration. What's going to happen to me? But I know you're going to take care of me, but I'm feeling unsettled. What it says in the Bible. Was it Exodus? Deuteronomy? I forget, y'all know. Then he said, well, what I got to do is go where? Where'd you go? The Garden of Gethsemane. To find some peace, some quiet, understanding. And yes, his disciples. Y'all my boys. Y'all my posse. Get my back. Stay on guard. Now, am I lying or what? I talk a lot and lie a lot. But y'all know the story. Okay? He said, hey, you disciples, y'all got my back. Y'all stay awake while I'm in the garden praying. Okay? And what they do? Them jokers went to sleep on him 1, 2, 3 times. So my point is the importance of the garden. And my point is as well, this work about kitchen gardens, justice, is about I mentioned pharaohs earlier. A pharaoh means if you have a community that needs help, kids that need help, women that need help, men that need help in all kinds of ways. Don't be like Christ's disciples. I'm saying for us. Part of our Pharaoh within us, sometimes we turn our back. Family, friends, community. I'm encouraging us out of here to find some encouragement to understand the importance of gardening, touching the soil, which makes us. And I heard some of y'all say, I heard back here from my cousin look at me and said, because my sister here was talking about rocks and soil. And soil's sacred medium. No, I said, no, Jim, no, it ain't. No, it ain't no sacred medium. You making stuff up. I said, well, now again, I kind of go sometimes to Scripture to help verify. I don't know where it was at. You know, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Exodus. I forget. Maybe y'all know. I think it was in Genesis. Might be in the 3rd chapter. It said, God reached down, picked up clay, soil, humus, and breathed the breath of life. Soil is a sacred medium that makes us up. So a kitchen garden, my dear beloved Gammon House friends and family, we're talking about a kitchen garden is doing spiritual work, sacred work. We've been bamboozled, we've been lied to about being distant from a kitchen garden. And we're hoping for our talk today that you'll be inspired, encouraged. If you don't have them already, establish, get involved in, help encourage the kitchen garden. Love y'all so much. Thank you for being here. Love you all. Thank you so much. Love you all. Yes. I'm sorry, use the mic, you're hard. Oh, talk loud so people here can hear you.
I don't want to say in this but our children are gardeners.
Oh, they are.
Children, our kids, the grandkids are kitchen gardeners.
Yes, they are.
So you gotta
Yes, they are.
have the soil and water and beauty and sun to help them grow. And the other thing is, I think about with the peanut butter.
Yes.
If we could get everybody involved in can of jar of peanut butter to know that George Carter should be on their bottle just like Ed Jemima was on cake.
That's right. That's right.
We have a lot of money.
We do. Now, I brought here some peanuts. Always carry them with me to say, in your kitchen garden, you can grow whatever you want to grow, but one of the ways to honor a carver, peanuts. I got some here. You can also buy them, in different stores, but you got to buy raw peanuts. But you're right. My cousin here, shoot, and she's a bad mamma jamma too. And all dressed up all in red. I gotta get a picture of you. And she's just saying, we want to extend the idea of a kitchen garden to include us as people. Because we like gardens because there are more microbes in our guts, on our skin, than there are cells in the body. They are gardening us, but they're also providing the right kind of chemical balance, the right kind of medium in our guts, So that's part of our garden, our community, the sun, the air, the food. It's what nourishes us. Exactly right. Thank you. Sister here, like she's one of them old African style African heroes, griots,
I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation today. Can you give Jim Embry and his associates present today, and we're excited about the information that he had to give us. And we've live streamed this today, so a lot of people were able to actually visually see this as well. And we just want to say that I'm glad that our other board members showed up. Of course, Dorothy Booker's one of them. Jim Stone's one of them. Our board members is William Miller back here, and Sharif Rockers, as well as Gail Grant and Patricia Gammon back there. So we're trying to increase and improve on our programming. And so we think we're doing a pretty good job at that. As you know, we're kind of cramped for space, but what we want to do eventually is to build an interpretive center here where we can house all of our exhibits and rotate them, and at the same time we can stage the house here with historic furniture as it would have been back in the 1850s to 1900s. And we're really proud of the fact that the Gammon House is, we're on the main line of the Underground Railroad from the Ohio River to Canada. There were like 23 different routes through Ohio. So actually, Ohio is the heart of it all when you talk about the Underground Railroad. Okay? And so again, we're grateful that you guys could come out and help us today by being present for this wonderful presentation. We're again excited about. Is it Sophie? I'm sorry, I didn't even say her name.
Yeah, Jennifer. Give her a little love.
Jennifer, give Jennifer
a shout out.
Thank you.
So once again, just to wrap up, we're grateful that you could come out today. I hope you found it interesting, and we're going to be doing other programming, and I hope that you guys can come. I passed around a book here for everybody to sign to show that you were here. We're trying to, check our, keep a record of our foot traffic. We've got a box out here if you'd like to leave a donation. We sure would appreciate it. That would go towards our interpretive center. And so, oh yeah, don't forget about the upcoming festivities for our annual Juneteenth program, which Juneteenth this year will be on June the 15th. But on June the 8th, we will be having our third annual George and Sarah Gammon 5K run and walk, which we got starting right out here on Center Street. Then on June the 14th will be our third annual prayer breakfast, which will be at 9 a.m. down at St. John Missionary Baptist Church just down the street. So we're doing more all the time. We need more volunteers. So if anybody here wants to be a volunteer, make sure you see one of the board members before you leave, okay?
Great.
All right. Nothing else? Anyone else have anything?
Well, a special thank you to my cousin here for her sheet, okay, for the screen. Without her, okay, she went to her bed, pulled the quilt off, pulled the sheet off. But I'm just one quick thought, okay, one quick thought on the Underground Railroad. So we were in here about an hour. We're trying to figure out how to go from presenting in the room in there, it's real small, to the room here and the room here. Didn't quite have the right screen that we needed. Didn't quite have things in order. We're trying to figure out how to do it. Okay? I've done this before many times. I have many times done, come in here and just reorder things. I know what I'm doing. A little bit. I had a plan, and I kept hearing resistance. Okay? Kept hearing resistance. I said, well, okay, let's do this, sheet here, whatever. Anyway, but it all came together. My point is, Underground Railroad. What happened on the Underground Railroad? You would have heard Tubman faced. She said, I got a plan. I done gone back 30 times. Never been stopped. Okay? Trust me. Believe in me. And run escape. Right now, in our things that we do, even quite practical. Okay? You can learn lessons. Underground Railroad are very trust with each other, okay, to get things done. It's the idea. Because we know y'all was coming in a few minutes. Let's all come together, kind of understand it, let's get it done. But we did that, okay, and those of the team, I love y'all so much for getting this cousin sheet up here, okay? But thank y'all for being here. We love y'all so much.